Welcome, professional wrestling fans, to the PW Fan. The PW Fan is a pro wrestling podcast created by fans for fans, and we appreciate you joining us for episode 35. I'm your host, the old school wrestling fan, collector, barber, musician, talk wrestling, Tim Gilbert.
And I'm your host, the architect of pro wrestling podcast, and your favorite Funko Pop collector, Andy.
I'm also your host, the no selling wrestling indie fan, Jeremy.
All right, and Jeremy also loves football. If you didn't know.
And Liverpool, by the way, just won another trophy this weekend.
Football.
So there we go.
There you go. All right, today we are talking about Judgment Day. We are talking about the Judgment Day.
Jeff Hardy versus. Too.
I know. This is okay. I had to read that right. We were talking about the Judgment Day. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin, which, oh my God, guys, I can't wait to talk about that. WWE Tag Team Title Unification, and more. Before we start the show, if you guys could please go to YouTube by searching the PW Fan, you'll find full episodes, you'll find video episodes. We have our entire catalog of episodes on there, audio and some video. If you could like and subscribe, that'd be amazing. Hey, if you're not a YouTube person and you just want to listen, go to Spotify or Apple Podcasts, and you can also like and subscribe there. For merch, go to prowrestlingtees.com/thepwfan to get your pocket logo shirt. Well, I think that about covers all the social media stuff. Andy, why don't you get us started like always, buddy?
Well, I didn't write this part down. That's what you just dawned on me. Guys, Ric Flair is training to have a
let's just jump right into this. Let's just go.
What? I mean, obviously, it's got to be all smoke and mirrors when it comes down to it. I know he's been training with, like, Jay Lethal, but apparently it's going to be, like, at the end of the summer.
Did anybody think of Mickey Rourke and the Wrestler? That's literally all I could think about.
Yes.
Someone commented, yo, he's about to Randy the Ram up in here. I'm like, oh, my God. So dark, but dude, it's terrifying. Yes,
like die in the ring.
Dude.
Well, the worst part is he almost did die, like a couple of years ago, right?
That's what I'm saying. This man literally was on death's door. Yeah. He was in a coma. And now he's gonna have a pro wrestling match. He has a heart problem. Please don't do this. Like, you don't have to. You're the greatest of all time. I'm honestly like. It's almost funny, but I could, like, thinking about it too much, I could almost get teary-eyed. It literally bums me out. Like, I'm like, you don't need to do this.
He's gonna
He's almost 80 years old.
Is he older than Vince? He's
definitely in his 70s.
I think he is.
He's in his late 70s.
Late 70s.
Oh, God. I just think about my own grandparents.
Yeah,
it's not Rick. Sometimes people aren't capable of making the right decisions for themselves. Rick is the best of all time. He loves it so much. He doesn't care. He's going to wrestle. Here's the thing. He's going to wrestle because he loves it. And I heard it was going to be a tag match with FTR. Maybe he comes in, he does a couple things here and there, a figure four, and that's it. But I don't know. The track record with Ric Flair is it always goes above and beyond, and he puts himself in risky situations. And I just don't want to see the guy get hurt. I mean, that's just me as like a human being who has watched this dude grow up. I just don't want to see him get hurt, and I hope he's okay.
So yeah, the match is going to take place end of July after SummerSlam or during that weekend or whatever. So. You can watch it apparently live on Fight TV.
Rick, please be safe.
Yeah. We know you're listening.
I know you're a weekly listener. We love you.
All right, let's jump into Raw. So as Tim was saying in the beginning, the Judgment Day, before the podcast even started today, Jeremy was like, I saw your notes for today and I saw Judgment Day. I was like, did I miss a pay-per-view? Yeah, it's kind of getting confusing, but it's the Judgment Day. So there was a segment on Raw, and this is, taking place after Rhea Ripley is now a part of the group, and it's kind of hey, let's show the world what this stable is looking like, all three of us in the ring. Edge's hair is cut, and he has a cut just like Rhea Ripley. They are twins now, in case you didn't know.
The Undercut Society.
Yes. So in the middle of the segment, Liv Morgan comes out, who's Rhea Ripley's ex-partner. They end up having a match, and the winner is Rhea Ripley. Afterwards, though, Liv Morgan gets attacked, and out comes AJ Styles and Finn Balor. This leads into a Finn Balor versus Damian Priest match, which in the middle of the match, Edge spears Finn. AJ and Finn fight with Priest and Edge afterwards, and the Judgment Day ends up taking out AJ and Finn. Now, I know that was a lot, back to back, but during the initial segment, they were talking about maybe another member. I hate this rumor, but apparently the fourth member is going to be Finn.
I don't like that,
bro. I'm not kind of into that. I'm into that. Let's go.
But AJ and Finn could have something. Like, they could create their own.
I like them better when they're fighting. I know it sounds weird. I know. It's cool to see them be boys, but man, those matches are bangers, dude. Some bangers.
So that's the rumor right now, is that at some point Finn is going to turn on a
couple bangers
AJ.
For sure.
Look, if this is a push that Vince will actually
that's
give Finn, who knows? But
yeah, if it's something good that comes out of it, I'm in. Plus, come on, you guys didn't think Finn was good as a heel on NXT before it got switched over? I thought it was. Yeah,
love Finn as a heel on NXT, but this is like a weird.
Also
I don't want him to be. I don't want him to become like demonic. Whoa! Hang on. Oh shit! I just forgot.
God. Well, apparently one of the original fourth members was supposed to be that guy Harland, who was the bald guy paired up with Joe Gacy, the guy that's all about PC stuff from NXT, Tim. The guy that you're like, this is kind of like a Kevin Owens guy.
Why? Because he has a stomach too?
He was the Harland, what? I guess. Stomach and tattoos. But that guy, some people know him as like the mini Brock Lesnar kid. But Edge apparently pitched Harland as a member, and then Harland ended up getting released. So yeah, that never came to pass. Yeah, so really I just wanted your guys' thoughts on the AJ, Finn possibly turn.
I want them to have at least something on the maybe Finn turn. Like, because I feel like
Look, if they're going to do it, please do it good.
They have a lot of like factions, but not like cool ones. Like Edge's is cool. They have like tag teams, I guess, but not really. Yeah, it's getting there. Yeah,
the Bloodline's cool. I like the Bloodline.
But they don't really have much else than that. Like they have the New Day, but they're more of like they're not like a faction really. Yeah,
no, Big E's out. It's just a tag team right now, anyway. Yeah, there's no factions. Yeah, you're right.
Well, where AEW is after that, overridden with factions, like holy shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say the opposite.
Like, bro, and this is coming from the dude. I'm wearing the Punk and the AEW hat. Too many factions, man.
I'm wearing the Proud and Powerful shirt too, so it's
right. Yeah, like and that's the thing. I know I always come back to this. I just want people to know we try to keep it fair. Like the one thing that WWE does well is like when there is a faction, they keep it like. That's the main thing. Like if it's the Shield, if it's Nexus, if it's the Wyatt family.
Well, they usually have one faction taking over, and you don't have multiple factions fighting out. If you do, you only have one other faction fighting with that main faction. Like NXT did it with Undisputed Era.
Dude,
like
AEW is like gang warfare. Like, it's just like everybody's fighting everybody.
So you better pick a team.
It's like cool in a different way, but then it's also not another way because there's like way too many.
So many. The Jericho Appreciation Society, bruh.
I guess we'll.
I know you guys. Right? I know you guys think it's funny. It's just like I'm not a huge.
I love the intro now.
Love it. Ish.
But before
you know who's kind of grown on me is that ridiculous guy. Who's the dude with the undercut? Squarehead. Squarehead is like mildly growing on me. He's so over the top and so like 90s pro wrestler with the chewing of the gum and stuff that I'm like. And he's like almost kind of growing on me in a weird way. It's like so much.
His chewing of the gum is like so over exaggerated.
All right, let's move on. Sonia Deville recently had been abusing her power, and Adam Pearce ends up coming out and fires Sonia Deville as a WWE official. So it looks like they're ready to put Sonia Deville back onto the main roster. Now, she ends up having a match against Alexa Bliss, who has finally returned after her first return. And to me, I thought for the most part, it seemed like she's kind of back to her old gimmick. Though she did walk out with the doll, her look is kind of like, she's not wearing that skirt anymore. She's kind of back to her old gear and the pink and the blue pigtails, and the music isn't that funhouse stuff.
Well,
but she beat Sonia very quickly.
From what I understand,
I will say that.
And I'm a big action figure guy. There's an Ultimate figure with her in the gear holding the doll, and there's there's so many layers to this, but I don't know this for a fact. I'm just spitballing. It could very well be that the doll is still like an association thing. So if you have the figure and it has the doll, and then the other thing is the doll, that ugly ass doll, still sells. It's still selling merch, man. Like Lily. Okay, so the spinner belt. For people that don't know, if you're more casual, the spinner belt, which is John Cena's belt, was absolutely god awful. It was terrible. Everybody pretty much hated it. Here's the thing: kids were buying the crap out of that toy belt, and it just sold tons. So that's why they didn't get rid of it. Everybody knew it was trash, but it just sold so much merch that it's like they're not going to get rid of it. So sometimes these little things, to me, I'm like, I wonder if that's still because she still has merchandise with the doll. And then before they...
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that. Cody Rhodes wants to bring back the other old belt. And he was saying something like, someone was like, you don't want to make your own belt? Because when the belt model is your model, you make money off of it. And he even was willing to sacrifice that money to just bring back that old title. Apparently he's willing to.
I would think that, man, that belt is so classy and so beautiful. It's I would say it's in the top 3 most iconic belts ever. If that really happens, as a fan, I'm hyped. I'm really excited. Maybe kids will think it's boring, but I don't think so, because the network's a thing now. And people have watched a lot of old footage, and kids are super smart, dude. They I cut kids' hair every day, and they know, I cut kids that watch wrestling, and they know all the old guys because they go back and watch it like it's an old TV show. They just binge it, so they know all these people. And I think that even kids would think that it was cool that they brought back that title, because nostalgia is big right now with everybody.
You would hope, but we'll just have to wait and see if Cody, if and when, maybe, who knows.
How great would he look with that?
What they actually end up doing with it?
Mm-hmm.
That's some Americana hot dogs and hamburgers on the 4th of July type of. It just fits,
All right,
couple dogs.
All right, there was a Kevin Owens and Ezekiel segment. I don't know if you guys saw this, but Owens comes out wearing a gray wig and dyed his beard gray, and he said that he's Kevin Owens' older brother, Ken Owens. And then Ezekiel, his character's like, "Oh, nice to meet you, Ken." He's buying it. And then Kevin's like, "Why are you doing that?" He's like, "Clearly, it's me." And then he takes off the wig, but his beard is still gray.
I found this really funny meme. I just saw that afterwards, and they were like, it was in this one AEW group. They're like, how did Tony Khan miss the biggest signing he could have made? He could have signed Ken Owens.
God. But at the end of the segment, Ezekiel ends up getting attacked by Owens and Alpha Academy. I don't know where this is going because Ezekiel's just by himself. Clearly the main feud is with Owens, but I don't know.
Do you think he's going to do a thing Mick Foley would have 3 different characters and he'll come out in one show is the same? But I don't know how he would do it because Elias had a beard, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll just have to see. It's that long-term storytelling, I guess. So we had a U.S. Championship match, Cody Rhodes versus Austin Theory, kind of out of nowhere. I mean, I don't know why we thought Cody would win over Austin Theory, who's like the, next, guy in Vince's mind. But of course, Seth Rollins interferes, ends up making Cody win by disqualification, but that means Theory retains. Seth ends up doing a curb stomp on the announce table. We getting a third match, guys? Hell in a Cell? What's going on? I'm guessing that's where they're going with this. The feuds from Mania just
doesn't make any sense.
So
listen, I'm
2-0.
Cody's won twice already.
I understand, but sometimes, and this is old school, usually it's one person beats one person beats the other, and then okay. Hang on.
That makes sense.
I'm gonna take you guys back a little bit. Let me be an old fogey for a second. Here's what you do, okay? Traditionally, you would have one guy win. Maybe the babyface wins the first time, or the heel cheats to win the first time. And then there's a second match, then the other guy wins, right? So it's 1-1. Then that's when you're supposed to do a gimmick match, like Hell in a Cell or a cage or something, because it's the blow off to the story. To me, this is confusing because Cody's already won twice. Although, I am okay with a third match because the last two that we've gotten are pretty great. Like, I'm not, like, when Cena and AJ used to wrestle, or Roman and AJ, and they had quite a few matches, I never complained because all those matches were good. So, if this is another good match, cool. But I agree with you guys in the fact that it's unnecessary. I don't know what else to say. It just seems like overkill.
I thought you were going to this long thing defending the match.
No. Okay.
All right.
But it's
I know it's good.
I mean, I'd rather see more of them wrestle than Omos and Bobby like they're doing tonight on Raw. This is
Probably
a third match.
At Hell in a Cell.
It was terrible. It's terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I get that point. Yeah, I get
I'll
that
trust
point
your judgment,
that's been
Tim.
good. Yeah.
Listen,
I'll trust your judgment.
I don't think they'll let us down. I just hope it's not too gimmicky.
But at a certain point, you're like, we've seen it.
Right, we've seen it twice. Like, give us the big match or whatever. I don't know, man.
Look, AEW had Hikaru Shida versus Serena Deeb like 10 times. So until you break that record, I'm good. And MJF and Jericho was like 5 or 6.
Yeah, that was
in
like
some
4 or
way,
5,
shape, or form.
Yeah, that was a lot.
Moving on. Lastly on Raw, there was Champa versus Mustafa Ali. Special guest referee was The Miz. Miz is slow counting in the match and ends it with a fast count. Winners Champa. They bury Mustafa Ali yet again.
Yep.
This guy.
Just payback for requesting a release and talking about it on Twitter.
They're gonna.
I thought Champa was going to be like the 4th member of the judgment.
Dude, they're literally they're going to job him into oblivion.
Champa?
They're like, no one's going to want you after what I do.
It's funny they do that because I'm like, that doesn't mean the fans don't want them then. Because, when they, if he shows up in AEW, people are like, oh yeah, this guy. It's not like because he lost 100 times in a row.
Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah, people have turned their careers around once, after jobbing, like Matt Cardona and stuff.
Those two guys are the smartest dudes in wrestling.
Yeah.
They're doing everything they do is completely independent. They make money off their podcasts. They run their own wrestling federation. I mean, they literally make a show about collecting toys and like they're living their dream. And I'm like, those two guys, and Mark Sterling too. I mean, watching him as a fan from their show, and now he from being a student. Well, he was already graduated, but wrestling independence from Brian Myers School, and now he's on AEW is fucking so cool. All 3 of those guys, they're awesome. Yeah. If you haven't ever checked out their show, do it.
My favorite thing about Mark Sterling is when JR was on commentary. I think he said it this past Wednesday when he was like, I don't trust a man who has 5 different hair colors. Because he has like 3 different, yeah.
With different shades of gray. Well, speaking of Dynamite, that wraps up Raw. Let's get into Dynamite this week. This was a good week. This was a much better week than what we saw. Unfortunately.
I'm telling you, if you're...
And this week coming up,
if you're there
really
live,
too.
It hits different. I'm just saying.
It was fun, but the matches. Let's start off with the opener. What do you know? Adam Cole opens
hold on,
up
before
the
you go
show.
into that, we have to go back and look at all the episodes. I don't like for like the since Adam Cole has been there to see how many times. Yeah,
Adam Cole and Punk either open up the show every single time, whether it's just someone coming out on commentary or what. It's all about that initial big pop. So our first match, Owen Hart Tournament, which has officially started now this week. It was Adam Cole versus Dax Hardwood. Me and Tim watched this. Well, I had already watched it, but then I watched it with Tim, who hadn't seen Dynamite yet. This was a really good match. Adam Cole won in the end with a sharpshooter, which is a slap in the face to Dax Hardwood. Yeah, so Adam Cole is advancing, and he will face the winner of the main event in this week's Dynamite, which was Darby Allin versus Jeff Hardy. But yeah, what you guys think of this match? Dax Hardwood is on
both
fire.
Both FTR guys are, but like the pop that sharpshooter got when Dax put it in the first time, I was like, I haven't heard that for a sharpshooter in such a long time. So it was like just the storytelling of this match was awesome.
I was just surprised they had Dax tap into it.
Yeah,
that's all.
But it generates a lot of heat for Cole, so it was a perfect way to do it.
What do you think?
I thought it was really good. I mean, dude, anytime that that was cool. Anytime that you get to see wrestling like that, I mean, if you've listened to any past episodes, you know that's right up my alley. So we watched it together, right, Andy?
Yeah, I showed you. I
you came over.
We watched
it was awesome.
Saturday.
It was great.
Yeah. After that, we had CM Punk versus John Silver. John Silver is from Long Island, and that's where they were. Punk comes out in Long Island, the Islanders jersey, and fans, they remember the MJF feud.
Well, did you notice that at first they were like, "Oh," he was trying to suck up to them, and he turned around, and the jersey is like a guy who just left them, like he was one of their best players.
Yeah,
a little insider stuff.
So he was trying to get on their nerves. But John Silver comes out, big pop for him because he's from Long Island as well. A good match, but Punk won with a buckshot lariat, Hangman Page's move, where he front flips over the ropes into the clothesline. No. But afterwards, CM Punk and Hangman have a face-off in the ring, which, Tim, if you remember, we watched this together too. We watched pretty much all the big moments that I knew I was going to talk about, but this was one of the times that they finally got in each other's face, and the heat got turned up, I felt like, during this promo between the two, and actually makes me excited for their match more and more now. Because when we saw them, it was just Hangman out there, and then the week before that, it was just Punk. So now they're actually able to, go toe-to-toe, promo-wise. But I think it's going to be a good match. I really have no idea who's going to go over.
Yeah, and I know, comes, I feel like it's going to be Hangman, but I really want Punk. Just being selfish. But
selfishly, but also, if you're thinking in the best interest of the company right now, I think you need to make Punk the champion. It gets eyes on the company. It gets people talking about it. He gets to go around and promote himself as the champion of AEW. It's kind of a smart business move, just saying.
It's also like a big fuck you to WWE.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a really good idea, I'm just saying.
After that, we had Danhausen's debut match against Tony Nese. Unfortunately, it was very quick. Tony Nese kneed him in the stomach. He ran to the corner.
That's what everyone said.
Well, yeah, he got kneed in the stomach, sat in the corner, and then Tony Nese booked it into his face with a knee, and then pinned him 1, 2, 3. Started beating him up afterwards. Mark Sterling gets on the mic, and out comes Hook. Big pop from the crowd.
The man.
Tony Nese and Mark Sterling leave the ring. The fans are chanting Hookhausen, and Hook puts out his hand for a handshake, Danhausen puts his hand out for a handshake, and Hook looks around and he shakes it. And the surprise on Danhausen's face was so funny. So I don't know. The rumor is, even though it's like on the pre-show match, we're getting Mark Sterling and Tony Nese against Hookhausen.
Hey, Mark's good in the ring. I'm excited to see him actually wrestle.
Yeah.
The one time he got in with Cody when MJF
and he
got
beat
in
by
like a
Moxley.
Singlet.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
Yeah,
one time, this is just a funny.
I know he's been sent to
one time. This is just a funny side story. They were talking on the major pod about like Mark being on AEW, and then I think it was either Matt Cardona or Brian. I can't remember. One of them was like, "Hey, did you hear what Corny had to say about your debut?" And then Mark was like, "Yeah, I don't want to talk about it."
What do you rip him apart?
Like, because I guess he did like a dedication to Cornette, like came out with like a tennis racket and like did like a thing. And Corny was just like, no.
I was like, my hero is pissed.
That's funny.
So after that, we had a MJF and Wardlow contract signing. I remember watching this with Tim, and they start with a fake Dark Side of the Ring video, and Tim's like, "Oh,
I was
shit.
so excited! I thought the new season was coming.
Don't get excited." I was like, "Don't get excited." I was like, "Don't get excited." He's like, "What?"
I love that show.
And Jericho's doing the narration.
Yeah, and he's like, "Wait, this is for MJF?" He's like, after everything, he's like, "I'm not doing a promo for him." And he's like, "How much is he paying?"
For the video viewers,
like,
I got a couple of illegal Blu-rays right here. couple bootlegs.
So after that video, MJF comes out to Long Island. Well, first Wardlow comes out, big boos, and then MJF comes out, and God, Long Island loves MJF, man. They freaking love him. And MJF
Long
gets
Island
kind of
plays a character,
pandering to the crowd.
They play a character almost.
Yeah, they're like a heel crowd.
Right.
Yeah, but it's weird because Tim's pointing this out. He's like, MJF acts so differently in Long Island. He's like a nice guy, and he's laying on the fans like Punk when he's like.
And then remember, he like looks up in the crowd. He's like,
"You're
poor." He looks up in the crowd. He's like, "You're poor, but you're beautiful." Up to the, he's like, "Even you in the cheap seats."
He's like, "Thank you for coming out." He's like, "Even the cheap seats, you're poor, but
or you're poor, but you're beautiful," or something like that.
So he's basically pandering to the crowd the whole time, and he's like, "Long Island, I wouldn't want you to give the loudest boo ever."
Yeah, that whole thing was funny.
Every time Wardlow starts to talk, so Wardlow doesn't really get a chance to talk because the crowd keeps booing. And what they're doing now, in order for Wardlow to get a match, is similar to the Cody Rhodes stuff that they did before. Yeah, they mentioned Cody Rhodes. He said, "You're going to pay back for all the things you did to my my buddy," and I forget what he called Cody.
Did he say
but
like ex-best friend or something like that? I don't know what he said.
Or he said my best buddy is like Cody something, but it was like a nickname afterwards, and then Rhodes. But so they're going to do 10 lashes, just like they did during the Cody feud, and that's going to be this week on Dynamite, and then he has to be in a steel cage match with Shawn Spears, and when he says this, Wardlow starts laughing, and MJF says, "I don't know why you're laughing. You're 0-2."
Well, he was like, "I don't know why you're laughing." Bud. He's like, "I don't know why you're laughing." Probably said shit.
And they say something about, he mentions at some point, talks about contracts. He's like, "You want to talk about contract?" He's like, "Yeah, neither the guy in the back doesn't want to talk about contracts either." Talking about his beef with Tony Khan right
now.
Dude,
he said some. Did you guys see the thing where he was like, "Yeah, I just think it's bullshit. All these ex-WWE guys come in for absurd amounts of money." I'm like, is this a work or is he being like for real?
No. So this is what it is. at the time he signed a deal, but he thinks he's worth 100%.
Well, yeah,
pay this man. Pay this man.
But you don't edit your contract to sign a new deal. It's a new contract, new number. But what does Tony Khan get in return if he's going to give you more money? You already are there for till 2024. If I give you more money, you have to stay longer than 2024. Tony Khan has to get something out of it. You can't just edit contracts.
Okay, but you don't want to. Okay, a little history lesson for the homies.
You don't want him to go.
Hear me out, okay?
I know that.
At one point, WCW had all the guys jumping over from WWF to there, right? And everybody was hyped. Then what happened? Then the undercard, Jericho, Benoit, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, who weren't being used anymore, they jumped over to WWE and became stars. You just don't want to see history repeat itself. You have to remember that there are guys that if you might not want to pay them the money right now, or maybe you're giving too much money to other people and you don't have room. I don't know. I don't know how that stuff works. But that is very eerily similar to what has already happened. Like, we already had Cody leave, which, you know, Cody, you can arguably say, was already a WWE guy. But I just hope Cody going back and becoming a star doesn't become the trend where now all these other AEW guys are like, well, maybe I'll try. And, you know, and then they start all jumping ship to the other team.
They're going to be going back and forth. It's going to be going back and forth. You know, Cody was.
But I also feel like Cody was one of the top ones. It's like MJF maybe could go over there and be a star, but he couldn't do the same thing as he's doing right now. He couldn't say. He couldn't call a person a pig. Yeah,
he can't be like, he'd be like, yeah, if I'm the devil, then I'm going to crucify someone. Like, you can't do it.
My God. But can you imagine, though?
Yeah, we're like flicking off little. Can't flick off little.
Can you imagine though if he did?
Live TV?
Like if Vince was like, you know what? Like if Vince was like, you know what? You're the only one.
I mean, I'm pretty sure
You're the only guy that can do it. And dude, the reaction it would get. Oh my God.
And you see when he walks in, like when his entrance, he'll take his gum and like throw it right at someone when he's walking down.
Oh,
I saw this video today of him where a fan walks up to him in line and drew a picture of him, and he looks at it and he goes, no, he doesn't rip it. He looks down and he goes, how long did this take you? And the kid's like, I don't know, like 5 hours. And then he just takes a black Sharpie and just starts scribbling all over it. Just like,
yeah, dude, I saw him. Like, oh my God.
Damn, dude.
I saw
even the security guy watching was like, damn.
There was one with like they're getting autographs, and there's one person in wheelchairs coming. He's like, "Come on, Hot Wheels, hurry it up!"
Oh my God! All right. We got to get off MJF and move on. But in the end, Wardlow signs and starts smashing tables and tries to get after MJF, who gets out of the ring. But he takes out security.
He put Mark Sterling through a table.
Yeah,
that was a good one too.
Yeah, he put Mark Sterling through a table, and then if you watch Rampage, because I didn't mention it, but Mark Sterling's in a neck brace backstage. After that, we had Jungle Boy versus Ricky Starks for the FTW Championship. Swerve comes out towards the end of the match, and it was really to help Jungle Boy, but it ended up backfiring. And Ricky Starks ended up winning, and Christian comes down and basically like shoulder checks Swerve from the back because he's pissed. Like I told you guys, the rumor is triple threat for Double or Nothing. Jurassic Express versus Keith Lee and Swerve versus Ricky Starks
and Christian.
So far that
Christian teased turning heel. He looked at Jungle Boy.
That's what it kind of seemed like. Maybe he's just like, let's see how it goes. So then we had a JAS segment, Jericho Appreciation Society.
Society.
And So they're out there. They're kind of celebrating his win over Santana the other night, and how they burned Eddie Kingston a few weeks ago, and out comes Moxley, who, as we know, is friends with Eddie Kingston, and he comes out, and then Danielson and the rest of Blackpool Combat Club comes out, and Jericho goes, basically calls them idiots and said, "You're still outnumbered," and then from behind, stepping on the apron, is Santana Ortiz and a burnt Eddie Kingston, and they all start brawling. So this apparently is leading to Blackpool Combat Club. But it would just be Danielson and how many members are in JAS? Right? You got the 2.0 guys,
Hager,
Garcia,
Jericho.
Hager, and Jericho. Right. So you're probably only gonna have Danielson and Moxley, and then Santana Ortiz, Eddie. You're not gonna have Yuta. But even Regal got a little hit in this week.
That was awesome.
If you guys saw that. So that's what they're leaning to, I think, at Double or Nothing is a 5-on-5.
And then this week, this Dynamite, it's Regal and Jericho face to face.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, they're having old rivals are having a face off. It's kind of cool though because Danielson especially is like a real pro wrestler, and then you're going against these sports entertainers.
Sports entertainers.
My terrible New York accent. So yeah, that's where they're headed to. We had 2 more Owen Hart Tournament matches, which again the men's and the women's have officially started. Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter. Winner is Toni Storm, so she will be moving on. And then our main event. It was an anything goes match. Jeff Hardy versus Darby Allin. Good God, guys! This match started off very quickly. Darby runs after him, and then Jeff goes to the outside of the ring. Darby dives right into Jeff. Jeff gets hit hard. It was a bullet. I was watching it with Tim. I was like, God, Jeff must have just been like, Jesus, okay.
I was thinking, like, can you
imagine out of the ring at Jeff's chest?
And Jeff's probably like, God, all right, this is what we're doing. What a wake up call.
It was a crazy match. It could have been on pay-per-view, honestly, but it wasn't that long. It was probably like 10 to 15 minutes total. But the 2, or I guess you could say 3 big spots ish. One, Darby did we've seen it before, coffin drop onto the apron. Jeff moved out of the way. Jeff did a swanton bomb towards Darby, who was laying on the steel steps that were turned sideways, but Darby moved and Jeff bounced off that metal. God, I don't know why you're still doing that, especially for free. Like,
at least Jeff didn't take this other spot because he initially was going to dive off that ladder.
Well, can you imagine?
Yeah. So the biggest spot was they had Darby Allin set up like 8 or 10 chairs.
This spot
in right at the bottom of the ramp, and eventually it led to a ladder, a very tall ladder I've ever seen, brought to the ring, and Jeff was on the outside standing in front of these chairs, and Darby climbs up, is facing Jeff, and throws up the guns, the Hardy guns, and does a swanton off the top. Jeff tries his best to catch him, but man, Darby obviously got the worst of it, but Jeff got crushed too. This was a crazy spot. The winner, though, Darby went for a coffin drop, landed on Jeff, and went to pin Jeff, but Jeff turned it into a crucifix and won via pinfall. I remember Tim was like surprised. He was like, wow, didn't see that coming. So this week on Dynamite, we are getting Adam Cole versus Jeff Hardy. I don't think Jeff's going to win because I'm pretty sure we're getting the Hardys versus Young Bucks at Double or Nothing, and Double or Nothing is going to have the finals for both of these tournaments. So we're going to have Samoa Joe versus whoever the Joker is at some point. It could come down, though, to Samoa Joe and Adam Cole.
Yeah, and then Britt Baker also has a Joker this week.
Britt Baker's facing the Joker as well, yes. So the tournament
I just found it really fascinating.
But, what you guys think of this match?
Fascinating that Jeff Hardy won on like a wrestling move after all of that. It's like they did all these stunts, and then he's like, he does a wrestling move, rolls him up, and he wins. So I thought it was kind of cool.
Yep. What you guys think of this match, though? Yeah. How about you, Tim?
Dude,
what you think of this match? Too
I
much?
mean, no.
For Jeff?
I mean, he did one spot that was, I mean, obviously the one on the steel steps was scary. When we watched it together, I was like, it looked brutal. It was definitely scary. But I don't think it was as intense as some of the other stuff. Like I was like, just if you rewatch it, I think it's a lot safer than we give it credit for. However, Darby, my guy, you gotta chill, man. Like, you're,
we know
you're a huge fan of the show, but it's like, it's very.
He's not gonna have that much left. He knows he's not gonna have that much left in it, like that. Those kind of moves.
It's just brutal to watch.
He said before this, he's like, "I'm ready to go to the hospital tonight." I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh my god!
Jesus, that's your goal,
dude. It was brutal. That spot into the chairs.
Yeah.
That made my beehole quiver.
I mean, he did land probably as best as he could.
Dude, I'm watching the undercuts. They just showed the Undercut Society on Raw.
Oh my god!
They all have that haircut.
Okay. Yeah. So that wrapped up Dynamite, though. Let's get into SmackDown this week. It started off with the RK Bro in the ring, and they're kind of calling out the Usos. They put out a proposition for them. They are now calling the Usos out to unify the tag team titles. They say they want it. And out comes Sami Zayn on behalf of the Bloodline, or at least in his mind, he's representing the Bloodline. And there's a line that made me crack up. Riddle says, "Hey, Sammy." You gotta picture this in Riddle's voice. He goes, "Hey, Sammy, I'm gonna call you Rusty because your hair's the color of rust." and Randy Orton starts like cracking up like a jet, and even you can hear the commentators like trying to like hold back their laughter. Because he was like, "Hey, Sammy, I'm going to call you Rusty because your hair's the color of rust." And then the whole crowd starts chanting Rusty. But this leads to a match between Riddle and Sammy. And it was supposed to be on behalf of the Bloodline. And it was actually a very good match. I saw online someone gave it like an A. It was really good. Riddle ends up winning, though. And the Bloodline will say their answer to the unification challenge later on. Ronda Rousey ends up coming out and says she wants to be a fighting champion, just like every babyface champion that ever comes out. Says, "I want to do an open challenge." So she does an open challenge, and out comes Raquel Rodriguez, aka used to be Raquel Gonzalez from NXT. And they actually have a good match. Ronda didn't end up doing a whole bunch of submissions like she normally did. It was a better showing for Ronda, I felt like. This was only Raquel's like second or third match on SmackDown. But the winner was Ronda, of course. I just thought it was kind of... I just figured they were going to pick someone else to do an open challenge, but good for Raquel Rodriguez. I know I'm just kind of going through just... because I know you guys probably watch more highlights from SmackDown and whatnot. But, these are the big things this week. Happy Corbin injured Madcap Moss. Apparently hurt his something in his neck during the segment. He hit him with a chair. There was a chair spot. I remember that went down. Crowd seems to... he says that he wants a belt and he wants to... but turn the belt into golden suspenders. I was just like, please, God,
please, no.
Like, that's going to be his title.
Golden
That's
suspenders.
his title is going to be, like, specific.
Please do not do that.
No. Butch had a match against Kofi Kingston and finally won the match for once. And then he dips out into the crowd. And Sheamus and Rich Holland have to be like, "Where's Butch?" But then he comes back and and like hugs.
Sorry, I didn't recognize the common name.
But the main event of the show was the Bloodline coming out to confront RK Bro about their challenge for the tag team unification match, and they accepted. And I mean, that's kind of long story short, but the highlight of it, which I didn't see coming, was when they're about to get out of the ring, RK Bro, Riddle just comes up and knees Roman in the face. It hit well. It hit really good. It shocked the fans. It was awesome. It was just kind of out. Yeah, it was like knocked Roman down. Like, it was kind of crazy. I just didn't expect it out of Riddle. He was basically like, "Hey, guess what?" And then, like, just clocked him and smacked him, dude. It was awesome. So I'm wondering though if, you know, eventually if RK Bro loses the titles, will they break up? And if so, does that leave open Riddle or Randy to go be an opponent at some point for Roman? I mean, you think about everyone that's gone against Roman; those are two top guys that haven't yet. And if they lose, I feel the titles,
definitely like Randy can, because I mean, how over he is now.
It's been a long time since Randy has gone one-on-one with Roman.
So I don't really see Riddle as
years.
Like,
this was before
going to be at that level yet, at least. So
no, but he could be. So that wrapped up SmackDown. Yeah, if you haven't seen the knee to the face, I think they showed it in the very beginning of Raw this week. Yeah, it was a knee out of nowhere. Like an RKO out of nowhere. It was a knee out of nowhere, and shocking to me. But Rampage this week, a couple things to talk about. We had an Owen Hart Tournament match, Ruby Soho versus Riho. Our winner was Ruby Soho. So she's moving on. I wonder if we're going to get Tony versus Ruby at some point. I forget who else has moved on. I'm sure Britt Baker will beat whoever the Joker is. I forget why they said this happened, but Chris Statlander is replacing Hikaru Shida in the Owen Hart Tournament.
Yeah, they said Shida was injured.
Velvet.
And then there was like a whole thing because Shida tweeted something, and I don't know if it was because of her English or not, but some people thought it meant like she was making fun of AEW, saying she was injured because she was wrestled in Japan. So, I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, lastly, our main event of Rampage this week was Scorpio Sky versus Frankie Kazarian for the TNT Championship. What do you think?
I mean, the match was fine. It was good. It was more of the after match because go ahead.
So let's talk about the after match. So, Tim, I don't know if you saw this, but the winner was Scorpio Sky. You know, they used to be
before we go into that. So right now, Scorpio Sky is technically like turning face. And he's like, and actually getting good reactions. And Sammy and Tay Conti are like getting booed. And I'm like, okay, keep going this way because that's how the crowd feels.
But they don't, because Ethan Page apparently got involved in the match somehow, and Scorpio Sky didn't find out till afterwards and gets in Ethan Page's face and starts yelling at him, and Ethan yells back. And then it was all a ploy. Because Scorpio Sky takes the title and hits Kazarian with it. And then Sammy and Ty run in the ring to kind of help out. So now what? Are they forcing Sammy and Ty to be the baby faces? And, you know, Scorpio Sky turned on his
had it. And then they just went back to...
You had a natural change going on.
Because, like, the flip-flopping of that title between Sammy and Scorpio, I was like, all right, well, if that's just get, like, Sammy as a heel and Scorpio as a face, because the reaction he got when he won that ladder match was crazy. I was like, cool, do that. But then just go back, like, they're just back to where they started now.
Yeah. How about you, Tim? What do you think of this flip-flopping?
I'm not a big fan of the flip-flopping thing, but, I mean, I'm actually pretty entertained by Sammy and the Ty Conti thing. I don't know. I think it's funny. I think it's funny that they're like over the top. It reminds me of like Edge and Lita. It's just like, they're all just like tongue at each other. It's all gross.
They're gonna have a live sex celebration soon.
Nip slip.
Well, I hate ending on someone like Sammy and Ty, but yeah, that's the end of Rampage.
What a week in pro wrestling. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us for episode 35. We appreciate it. We'll be back with you next week for episode 36. Just one more time, guys, please follow us on Instagram at the PW Fan, on Twitter at the PW Fan. If you're into Funko and collecting, go to at the 410 Fan Bros. That's Andy's Funko Pop collection. Thank you again for listening, and join us next week. Have a great week, everybody. Bye-bye.